Now Oatsy will speak.
First of all, I'd like to thank Carlene and Gracia for putting this all together, and for all of you for being here for this wonderful celebration of Susan's life. So Carlene gave me marching orders. Okay, Oatsy, you get 2 minutes. 2 minutes. So that was a few weeks ago. So I was like thinking about Susan and writing things down. And needless to say, I could write a book, but I'll shorten it to 2 minutes. First of all, Susan was like my big sister. She was a big sister that liked me, because most big sisters, your little sister is a pain in the ass, but Susan liked me. And I figured out this morning why she liked me is because she knew my mom and dad, and she was a big golfer. So when they would go to Spokane, I was 11 years younger than Susan. So, it's like when I was tagging around with my mom and dad for polo, I was just this little kid and she was playing. So anyway, so she would play golf with my mom, who was a great golfer, and Susan was a great golfer, and then she'd play polo with my dad, and then they'd come to Jackson and play strip poker, as Susie said. And I was like 13 when that happened, so I wasn't around. So when I finally graduated from college and I ended up here at Eldorado working for Dad as a groom, I met Susan, and I was kind of playing polo. But it was the first time I played polo in the winter because I was always in school. So anyway, so I was a 0, Susan was a 2, and so I really looked up to Susan. I just thought she was so cool, and she was from the Northwest, and I was from Wyoming, and we had that whole North, that Western thing, And then we came down here to California, and California, everybody's like, California, and we're like, yeah, we're from Wyoming, and we're from Washington State. So Susan had a great sense of humor, and so much that we enjoyed pulling jokes on her. So one time, a birthday was coming up, and it was probably 1985, and the Chippendales were like a really big deal. And so Susan, you know how Susan, she's like a walking, talking, promo billboard for Eldorado Polo Club. I mean, she had play polo everywhere she went, and Eldorado Polo Club, and USPA, and this shop, and this, And so anyway, so we thought, okay. So we have this little get together, like down the street where we had a condo or something across from Indian Palms, and we invited Susan, and then one of our grooms, he had a birthday, and so I get a couple. I get a young man and a young woman to be, they're Chippendale strippers. I get them to come to our little barbecue, and I said, okay, this is the deal. That's Susan Stovall, and that's Raul Ortega. And so you guys come with khaki pants, Ralph Lauren shirt, the sweater tied like this, the real California thing, some hair, slick back, just like real preppy kind of thing. And so they get there, and we've had their drinks and everything. So and they're cute as a button, And so they come in, and so we've got Susan, and then we've got Raul in the other room because we don't want her to figure out what's going on. So anyway, we're sitting there, and we tell Susan, we go, Susan, this couple's really interested in getting involved in polo. And so they're standing, there's a counter there, right? It's kind of a bar thing. And so they're standing like this, and they're talking with each other. And she's giving them the scoop on the golf, or on the polo, sorry. And so he goes, Susan, he says, I'm hot. Are you hot? She says, I'm a little hot. She says, hot. He says, I'm hot. She says, yeah, it is a little warm in here. And so she's getting after it like this, and he says, whew, man. He says, I'm really hot. He says, here, Susan, can you just hold this, So she's like, sure, she takes the clothes off, so she's still dishing it out. And then all of a sudden, he's like, well, you get the picture. I'm not taking all my clothes off. But he strips down, he's got the little thing, and she's just finally it dawns on her that he's not a polo player, that this is a birthday present. So all I can say was Susan was so much fun. We went on a couple polo trips, and if Susan ever invited me to go on a polo trip, it was like, I am going, because she was, like everybody says, she was concierge, she was the tour director, she was the driver. And then she would always say, she would pitch it, and she'd go, Oatsy. We used phones back then. She goes, Oatsy, and I go, Susan. She said, hey, she says, you want to go to England? She says, it's going to be great. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to blah, blah, blah. We're going to do all this. And she says, no pressure, but they really kind of need to know, but no pressure. She said, just think about it. It'll be fun. And so Susan was like always saying, it'll be fun. She would go to shop and she'd come back and say, isn't this fun? And she was the epitome of fun. Fun. So later on, I had another one. So I get out of polo and I give Susan my best horse, Superman. And if anybody has a video of Susan playing Superman, I want to see it, because I've never seen her play Superman. He was my best horse. He spent his life with Susan, and he lived his whole life out with Susan. Do you want to give the story?
I will never forget.
Okay,
you're never
You're
forget.
in on my
so
2
sorry.
minutes, though.
Okay,
Here, no.
I'm going to speak out loud.
Here you go.
There was nothing like
Here.
Susan.
There was nothing like Susan on Superman. I played with Susan my entire polo career. We had a ball. But when she came out on Superman, it was like she was Superwoman and he was Superman. And I knew there were going to be 2 goals right away because they were just on fire.
It was wonderful. Wonderful.
So Susan had such a great sense of humor, and she would always tag. There was something that would happen on the trips, and she would tag it. First time I went with her and Peter Piper, and they were driving a Bugatti. It wasn't a Bugatti. Matter of fact, I had to Google Bugatti because I didn't know what that was, but evidently it's a very expensive car. And we were in Palm Beach and everything, and she said, well, all the Palm Beach people, they're all really, And so I just told them that we rented a Bugatti. And so when we would go to a cocktail party, it was, well, excuse me, but Peter, did you leave something in the Bugatti? And so, she had a great sense of humor. She really did. And so I get a motorhome, and a big motorhome. And so she finally sees my motorhome, and most of my girlfriends called it the rock star bush. So Susan walks up and she goes, nice taco wagon, Oatsy. So Susan always said, you got to come up to Spokane. You got to come up to Toppenish to see my place, and it's really cool, and you got to stay, and I redecorated everything. It's so fun. Everything's so fun. And so she said, and bring the taco wagon. So all I can say is I miss Susan. She was fabulous, and I was supposed to play golf with her this winter. And so we'll just have to do it another time, my dear. Thank you very much.